He's trying to get me to spin.
What's up, y'all? CKD here, man, back with another video for y'all, man. And in today's video, I'm going to be showing you guys what it's like filming an entire video using the Samsung Galaxy Note 10 Plus. Now, I'm filming this in 4K 60 frames per second, so I'm showing you guys the highest resolution that it can get and push out of this camera. So with that being said, man, I'm going to be going ahead and actually reviewing the FeiyuTech AK2000 gimbal here that I have set up here. I'm going to be telling you guys some of the things that I like, as well as some of the things that I dislike, as well as some of the things that and all of the modes and different features that you can get with using this camera. And also stay tuned to the end of this video, man, because I'm going to show you guys a secret project that I filmed with this gimbal here, man, that you guys haven't actually seen yet. So I'm hoping you guys stick tuned to that, man, because it's going to be super dope and I can't wait for y'all to see it. Now, first thing out of the gate, man, let's talk about the build quality. Now, to me, I actually enjoy the build quality of this gimbal, man. I feel like it is built well. I feel like it will last a very long time. Now, I've had this gimbal here, I can easily say somewhere over a month and a half to 2 months now, man, and I've been using it, testing it out, and I can tell you right off the back, man, even when traveling with this gimbal, man, everything is held up really good, and I haven't had any issues when it comes to the build quality of this gimbal, which is something that I like. One of the things that I want to talk about next is the modular components of this gimbal. Now, as you guys can see here, one of the pieces that I'm going to start at is that you guys can see is actually what's holding up the Galaxy Note 10 Plus that I have right up here on the tripod. Long story short, basically I left the piece, so that's why I got it, I got it rigged up there, but it's working. But anyway, that piece there actually screws to the bottom of this here and actually is the tripod for the AK2000 gimbal. Now, you can unscrew that, as you guys can see here, and you can pack that separately. You guys can actually use it as a pistol grip if you guys want to do something like some vlogging and different things like that. The other thing that I like here is this piece here, which actually has the screen that is built onto it, and I can turn that around, which actually has the screen that's built onto this gimbal here. This piece can actually come off as well, and you can be able to pack that away separately as well. This is actually where the batteries are actually held for this gimbal, which the batteries can actually last up to 12 hours in this thing. And I'm gonna tell you right now, man, all day shooting with this gimbal, man, is no problem. The time where I was actually invited out to the Unpacked event by Samsung, man, I used this gimbal the entire day and had no problems and still had about 50% battery power left. So I'm telling you right now, batteries in this thing, man, is legit. But I will say, when you're charging up these batteries, they do take a long time to charge, so definitely make sure you guys plan accordingly for that. And I personally just set mine overnight, and then that way when I wake up in the morning, they're already charged. So just keep that in mind, because these batteries, although they last a long time, it takes also a long time to charge these bad boys up. Now, the other thing is here, where the actual motor sits, where the actual camera, this whole housing right here, this part actually comes off as well, so that way you can have that and pack it away as well. Now, the next thing I want to talk about getting into, man, is the payload. Now, if you're not familiar with what payload is, payload is basically going to be how much weight can this gimbal actually withstand. Now, when it comes to that, this gimbal here can withstand about 6 pounds, a little about 6.2 pounds to be particular, for those people out there that are particular with those types of metrics and numbers. I think it's about 2 kilograms or something like that. I don't know, man, I'm not good with metrics and all of that, but just know 6 pounds in the US, that's what we use, that's what it's going to be. But this camera that I actually have up here right now is the Sony a7 III. I have it mounted with a 28mm lens f2.0. If you guys are interested in this setup, man, I'll have that link down below. Most of the time I'll actually have a microphone that is mounted up top here on the camera, but today I don't actually have it because I'm actually using the lav mic that I have right here to gain audio. And shout out to the Mark Show He asked a question out there on my Twitter about, you know, if he wanted to film on the Samsung Galaxy Note 10 Plus, how would he be able to do that as far as getting audio? So Mark, if you out there listening, this is the setup I was telling you about. You can be able to still use your Galaxy device to be able to film, get that nice 4K 60 frames per second shooting quality out of it, and then get yourself an external setup so that way you guys can still be able to film and you get that audio and clear, crisp audio that you guys are wanting out of the camera. All right, so the other thing I want to talk about now, man, is the modes with this. Now, the modes is going to be the different things that you guys are going to be able to do in different shots and how you want the camera to be able to move on this gimbal. So now this gimbal here has 4 different modes that I want to talk about. Now it has a HF mode, which stands for horizontal follow. It has a TF mode, which is tilt follow, an AF mode, which is auto, which is all follow, and it also has an LK mode, which is a lock follow. So I'm going to show you guys a quick example of each one of those here real quick. So right now I'm in AF mode, I'm in HF mode, which is horizontal follow. And basically what this is going to do is it just basically means that if I turn the gimbal left and right in a horizontal position, which is why it's called HF mode, you can see that it's doing a smooth pan with the actual gimbal in the camera. Now, if I tap on the screen, which is another thing that I like about this gimbal, is the fact that it actually has a touch screen. So if I tap on that right there, and if I touch on TF, now I'm in the TF mode, which is tilt follow. Basically what this is going to do is going to allow me to get, it's going to allow me, if I move the camera up and down, it's going to get smooth pan shots of that. Now I can also use the controller here to be able to move it up and down. But if I want to get the pan shots with my hand and move it down just like so, you can see that the camera will pan in a tilt mode. Now the other mode, which is my personal favorite mode that I personally like using, which is the all follow mode. Now I'll have a video at the end of this video that you guys can check out where I shot the entire footage. It's a secret project that I shot the entire footage on, man, using the AF mode. And even while I was in New York at the Unpacked event, I actually shot that entire Samsung event using the AF mode. I personally like this mode simply because this is a mode where I can basically use my own movements and the camera and gimbal will move in a smooth panning mode. No matter which axis I move, I can do side to side. It's just going to move in a nice smooth position no matter which way I move, which is why it's called all follow mode. So I can move this way, left and right is going to pan. I can move up and down, it's going to pan. It's going to give you a nice pan. I can also do like this, side by side, it's going to pan. It just gives you a nice range of being able to get some dope shots with that. And I'll throw up some B-roll so you guys can see what type of footage you guys can get with the all follow mode. Now the last mode that I want to show you guys is the LK mode, which is lock mode. Now right now I'm in lock mode and you guys can see just like this, no matter which way I move it, the camera is staying dead center. It's not going to move, basically meaning that that motor is in lock mode and all of the panning shots are going to stay still. Now the other thing that I like about this one here, it also has a selfie mode. So I can basically triple press the power button and it's going to switch the camera around into selfie mode. And just like that, now if I want to do some vlogging and different things like that, now I'm not going to say this is probably the ideal thing to use for vlogging, just simply because if you're vlogging with this setup here, man, I'm telling you now, you got to have some buff arms because this bad boy does got a little bit of weight to it. So you definitely want to keep that in mind. But if you guys want to do some quick vlogging and different things like that, man, you can easily be able to do that just by switching into that mode. Now let's say, for example, you want to switch back to filming. All you guys have to do is double tap this trigger in the back, double tap like so, and the camera's going to come back out of that mode. Now, one of the things that I dislike about that feature is I wish that if I double tap this, it would actually switch it back into follow mode or switch it back into selfie mode. But for some reason, they programmed the power button to be able to do that with triple tapping that. Don't know why they did that. It's something that I personally don't like, but again, once you get used to it, it's not that big of a deal. Now, another thing that a lot of people have issues with when it comes to setting up with a gimbal is balancing your camera onto the gimbal. Now, to me, I don't have that many problems when it comes to balancing a camera onto a gimbal, but I will say if you aren't used to balancing cameras onto a gimbal, it can be tricky. Now, what I'm gonna show you guys is I'm gonna turn this off. I'm actually gonna power this off, and I'm gonna show you guys what I mean by balancing your gimbal. Now, right now, basically meaning that I can move it each kind of way and it is going to stay in that position. That lets you know that your camera is properly balanced. So basically what that means is, if I want to balance my gimbal, basically what that means is, by balancing your gimbal, you want to definitely take that time. Although, like I said, if you're just now doing it, balancing a gimbal, man, it's a whole process. But once you get used to it, it's not that bad at all. But one of the things that I like about this in particular, for example, let's say I want to switch out a lens or something that I have on here. Most gimbals, when you just move a slight piece off, let's say, for example, I had on a microphone up here. If I was to take off that microphone, most gimbals will basically lose control. The motor will start shaking like crazy, which can cause long-term issues. So I don't recommend you guys do that. But what I like about this gimbal is simply because I can take off, for example, this lens off of this camera and the motor won't go crazy. Now, of course, if I switch on and put a larger lens on it, I'm definitely going to have to rebalance this. But the fact that it doesn't go crazy and cause a lot of stress onto the motors is definitely something that I like, and it's something that I definitely wanted to point out to you guys, because I really think that is a dope feature when it comes to this gimbal here in particular. Because a lot of gimbals out there, man, I'm telling you, the motors go crazy if you do the slightest move or take off something of your gimbal or add something onto your camera. Then I'm telling you, this gimbal here, man, you won't have to worry about that. So the other thing that I have to talk about with this gimbal, man, is this scroll wheel on the side. Scroll wheel on the side here, man, I personally don't like using it, simply because I don't feel like it pans fast enough or smooth enough for me. Because, for example, so if I was to put this into HF mode, and I can double tap this here just by putting it into HF mode, which again is your horizontal, which is smooth side to side. So if I was to tap that, and then let's say I wanted to deal with tilt, I can do so even in the horizontal mode. But what I don't like about it is sometimes it goes too fast, and if I was to slow it down, I still feel like I'm going fast and I'm not getting that shot, that smoothness that I really want to get out of it. So what I personally recommend is switching it. If you want to get that, just switch it into the TF mode. Then that way you can control how fast you want that tilt to be when it comes down to getting that, you know, those certain type of shots that you want to get using that mode. Now you do get the option to do a bunch of different modes using this wheel. Now with this wheel right now, I have it in the tilt up and down mode. So if I turn this, the camera's going to go, I can pan it up and down. I can move it as fast as I like. And it, you know, the wheel, I will say the wheel is very smooth when it comes down to moving it. But when it comes to actually using it, I recommend going into your TF mode. Now, the other thing is I can just press it in, and now it's going to switch to the side to side. So I can just turn the wheel, and now it is switching to the side to side, and I can do some pan shots like this as well. Now again, if you guys use the FeiyuTech app, you can also do the same type of motions using the application that you guys have on your Android as well as your iOS device. Now if I tap it again, now it's going to get me into tilt mode, so I can turn the camera side by side. Now you also have this menu option here, man, that gives you a lot of settings as well. You can set your payload setting, capture modes, rotation times, auto rotation times, scroll settings. But yeah, it gives you a lot of different options with this. And one of the things that I love about this gimbal, man, like I said, is the fact that it has touchscreen and that it just has a screen in general. Because a lot of times these gimbals, man, when you use them, you don't really know what mode you're actually in. You just have to kind of press it and guess and hope and pray that you're in that right mode. So like I said, man, this is super dope gimbal, man. Highly recommend that you guys check this out. Now when it comes to some of the things that I dislike about this gimbal, first thing that I dislike about this gimbal that I noticed while I was in New York is, for some reason, this mechanism part here, which is actually the connection piece from the grip here to the actual gimbal, the top portion of the gimbal, for some reason it doesn't stay locked as much as I would like it to. I'm not sure if there's small vibrations that and I'm gonna tell you, the vibrations you can't feel it in your hands, but I'm not sure if there's small vibrations that I can't feel that over time is allowing this to loosen up. Every now and then I have to check just to make sure I still have this in lock, because it will get loose over time while you're using it. So that is something that I don't like about this gimbal, and I wish it's something that they would fix. Now the other thing that I would say that I dislike about this gimbal that I kind of already talked about, which is the scroll wheel. I'm not a huge fan of the scroll wheel, but again, I understand why it's there. I just feel like it's tough to be able to do some of the things that you want to do, because it either moves too fast or moves too slow. it's just, I don't know, it's just something that I prefer to just use the different HF, TF, AF, as well as the lock mode to be able to get all the shots that I want to get. All right, so with all that being said, man, overall, man, this gimbal here is legit. Highly recommend it. I think it has some really nice features and different things that you can do with it. You can get some amazing shots using this gimbal. I always recommend using a gimbal instead of using something like a track to be able to get nice, smooth panning shots, because I feel like with this, I can have way more range and use to be able to use a gimbal versus using something like a track system or something like that. But with all that being said, man, let me show you guys the video that I filmed using this exact same setup that you guys see right here, and let me know what you guys think. Otherwise, I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace.
I couldn't figure out what he was trying to get me to do. And then dude here is the one that told me. Like, he be guiding you too, dude back here. Yeah. Because I couldn't figure out what he was doing, and he was like, I think he's trying to get you to turn. So he was like, move your hand. He's trying to get me to spin. That's what he was trying. I was like, what is he trying to get me to do? I was like, I ain't done anything. Yeah, he was trying to get me to spin. Gotta try it.